welcome to Jumping the Wagon, a new segment from the Missing the Wagon franchise, I guess. On Jumping the Wagon, we'll be speaking about current pop culture instead of old pop culture. Uh, I want to put this up in multiple places. I was thinking maybe on our Patreon, but I want to work the kinks out first before I try to ask anyone to pay for it. So, our first movie reviewed on Jumping the Wagon will be Spider-Man Brand New Day. If you are new to this channel, we are at Missing the Wagon on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Patreon. It'll be MissingTheWagon. I'll try to, like Jumping the Wagon, I'll shoot for every 2 weeks or twice a month at a minimum. So then we're not over inundated with all the reviews we're currently doing and then new stuff. The first half of this review will be non-spoiler. I will definitely be like, there'll be a giant spoiler thing on the video. And then I will also say when spoiler, so non-spoiler. Going into the Spider-Man Brand New Day, I was kind of excited. I was excited about the Captain America film that came out, and I was excited when Black Panther 2 came out. So I'm a big fan of the MCU. So I've always, not on tenterhooks, but I'm always waiting and seeing how things will shift and change in the world of the MCU, especially after seeing Multiverse of Madness and seeing how Scarlet Witch goes through all of these things and comes out a different character. And then when it comes to the movies, they fully were like, yeah, you know what? No, that characterization, it's all gone. It's all different. Most people who are watching this movie didn't watch the show. So all of that growth you've had, it's gone now. So we're going to take it from there. Luckily, Spider-Man had no such mischaracterization. The movie-going experience was pretty solid. I went to my local AMC. I had to make sure not to hit my heated seat and recliner so I don't fall asleep in the dark room that I paid money to watch a movie in. So that was always good. For some reason, the popcorn I had that day tasted really bitter. And I was like, hey, that's no good. Definitely paid for this not to be bitter. Everyone else seemed to be enjoying their popcorn. So either they ignored it or I got a bad batch of popcorn or something like that. So that sucked. A few of my thoughts on the movie from the trailers for all the non-spoiler people. And I don't think there was enough going full Spider, even though the whole trailer was about Spider rebirth and about how they molt their skin and they go through changes and after going through changes they come back stronger and better. I didn't think there was enough of that in the movie. I was expecting maybe a Morbius storyline, which I know is silly because I know Sony didn't, even though Marvel makes a lot of money with the Spider-Man properties, Sony doesn't like using the kit players or characters they've already used in their own Sony universe. So I was like, I thought maybe their Bruce Banner from the trailer might have been a Morbius or a Kirk Connors character to be like, oh hey, this stuff is happening. We got to try to figure out how to stop mutations or something like that. So I don't think there was enough of that in the movie. I would have liked more of it. I think that was a very interesting story beat. And when I saw it in the trailer, I was like, oh, hey, that would be really cool. But it's around maybe 3 or 4 times, and that's about it. And it's like, oh, okay, well, it's an interesting thing that we could have explored more in this multi-million-dollar movie, but we're not going to explore it, and that's just fine, I guess. The second beat for me would be I Feel the Hand was underused in the movie as well because as a fan of the Netflix Marvel stuff, I was really excited to see a bunch of magic ninjas be in the movies because, you know, when Netflix finally folded the stuff back into the fold, people were talking about how they love to see Luke Cage interact with people and Iron Fist, Punisher, Daredevil. And when I saw the hand in the trailer, I was like, oh, cool, we're going to get magic ninjas. And like, it'll be like a bit like Shang-Chi, where we have some really good martial arts and we have some really good stunt action where it's just cool fighting. And because there is a thing in the comics, I think they called it Spider Fu, where Iron Fist teaches Spider-Man some martial arts, I believe. But once again, probably haven't met those characters yet. But I was just thinking, I'm like, oh, I really like in the last Spider-Man movie the fight scene in the apartment where Green Goblin is going around like he's Alabama slamming Spider-Man through apartment floors and throwing them back and forth. And I was like, well, the hand isn't stronger than Spider-Man, so we won't get an action scene like that where like Spider-Man looks to be being overpowered. But I was like, oh well, like they could use overwhelming force. They can like use smoke bombs, teleport, disappear. They have like their magic. It's the way we were introduced to them in Netflix series is Daredevil was like, oh, I can't hear their footsteps because they're ninjas. They don't like I can't hear them breathing. I can't hear their heartbeats. So it becomes a harder fight. And I was talking to someone, and I was saying to them, I think it would be really cool if Spider-Man couldn't sense the hand in the same way because they were magic, because he couldn't hear their footsteps, because he couldn't sense any part of them. And I know that's not how like Spidey sense works in comics or in other media, but I thought I'm like that'll be a really interesting villain to have because then Spider-Man can't just like in the second movie we saw him not depend on his spider sense, and then at the end he finally like started to depend on it and trust it. And then I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to like for this new iteration of him, for this new this rebirth of him. It'd be like, oh, it'd be really cool. Like he finally got to a place where he's comfortable and he knows his powers and he knows himself. And then there's an immediate villain that he can't sense with that power. So I'm like, oh yeah, it'd be really cool. But they didn't do that with him. So I'm like, oh, okay, so I do think they had some cool choreography, but I wish there was some better hand-to-hand and some better fight scenes with them. On the third part, I think the Punisher was used phenomenally in this movie. Mini spoiler, he curses a lot. I say this because in my viewing, it was mostly adults because I went at noon during school day, but there were like 4 kids who came in, like their mom came in with them after all the trailers were done, so they came in at the very start of the movie, and like it kind of just starts off, Frank curses throughout the movie, so mini spoiler there, but I think the Punisher is characterized perfectly. And when I was talking to someone else about the movie, I was like, yeah, like I think the most interesting part of the comic books is when you see how characters view each other, because there's a I don't know if you're not a comic book fan, there's a thing that happens, or it is a believed trope to where if you are in a Spider-Man comic, Daredevil doesn't act like Daredevil. Daredevil acts how Spider-Man perceives him. So if this movie is like that, maybe Punisher in his own movie or in his own show again would be much darker, much grittier. But with in Spider-Man's world, he is still Punisher, but like for him, it's like still better. But Frank is still kind of gruff and rough around the edges. So I believe for how Frank's in the movie, phenomenally used. Loved how the Punisher was. For fourth beat, I don't like how the Hulk was used in the movie. And this is probably a thing that lots of comic book nerds will say, but it's how I genuinely feel about it. I feel with the Universal thing and how the Hulk's rights are going with movies. Whenever Hulk's in a movie, except for Thor Ragnarok, I think Hulk is underutilized. It's like how Hulk could have been in Brave New World for the Captain America film, because we have villains like the leader and Red Hulk, but instead of having Bruce helping Sam Wilson with 2 Hulk villains, it's just no. We're just gonna have Captain America with no super juice fight the Incredible Hulk, fight Red Hulk, and I'm like, no, that doesn't make any. He couldn't beat that man. That's not like Captain America with a super soldier serum can't go toe to toe with the Hulk strength wise. How like Sam Wilson should maybe do that at all. But as I feel the Hulk is underutilized, I do think that the scenes he's there, like for Bruce Banner and Hulk, are scenes that move the story along the way it needs to. But I do think that honestly, the Hulk isn't there enough, and I'm like, I would love for the Hulk to actually get a good shake in one of these team up movies besides Thor Ragnarok, because we've seen it done once, so that means they know they can do it and they know how to do it. It's just they're choosing not to do it well, and I'm like, that's really weird. And for all my non-spoiler folks, well, in this part of the video with should you see the movie or no, and for me personally, I say you should see the movie. If you're a fan of the MCU, if you just want to keep up with it, If you want to see a pretty good popcorn flick, because I think this is, yeah, I think a superhero movie is always a solid popcorn flick, especially in the wake of MCU and how we are like mass producing superhero movies. I think you should go see it. Now, if you're not a fan of superhero movies, if you're not a fan of comic book tropes and all that other rigmarole, I would say maybe you can skip this. You can skip this one if you're not a fan of that stuff. But if you do, I would say you should see it as soon as possible. Now it's spoiler time. The first fight scene in the movie, or the first action scene in the movie, looks like an Insomniac. From Insomniac Spider-Man, when you fight people on a rooftop, it looks like that. Like you swing up, he webs the guys up. There's legit guys who fall off the side of the building, and he webs them up to the side of the building. And I'm like, yeah, that's just the video game. And it doesn't look bad, but this is, yeah, you're recreating the video game that we've all played. And then they do the thing from the trailer where you see the guy in the is it Tales of Suspense 13 art cover where Peter has him under his arm and he's swinging with him. So I really like that part. I'm like, oh, what like an homage, because one, so Avi Arad is an executive producer on I think every Spider-Man project, animated, live action, all that stuff. So of course, someone from Sony was like, "Yeah, put that Sony stuff in the movie," because people might remember us for Morbius and Craven, and our us not making the Silver Sable and Black Cat movie. But then remember we made these great games that everyone loves with this original storyline. So let's put a little bit of homage to that in there. Peter's apartment in the movie, and this is a very Friends 1999 take on this, but Peter shouldn't be able to afford his apartment. We don't see him work. We don't see him do anything up, like, because in the last movie we saw him get his GED and we saw him like moving and whatnot, trying to get his life together. But like in this movie, you never see him get a job, and I don't know if I don't remember. I haven't watched it in years. In the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, I think he worked like science labs, and in the original with Tobey Maguire, he's delivering pizza. And for me, and for Tom Holland Spider-Man, I don't see what job he's doing. Like we don't see his like degree afterwards. We don't see any of that stuff. He just has an apartment that, and the guy, like, there's a scene in the movie where the guy's like, "We use this for storage, but you can live here." And my only thing is, before people forgot Peter Parker existed, did Aunt May leave you some money? Did Tony Stark leave you some money? Like, what's happening? How did you get to afford this apartment? Because we see in the movie that Peter is thriving as Spider-Man, but everything else he's not. Then in his apartment, he also has like a 3D printer. He has this AI model, AI like assistant he's made. We see him in the movie make inhibitors and new suits and new web shooters. And the response becomes, because also in the movie, there's a scene where he talks to Ned. And Ned is like, "Oh, hey, I bet your webbing is this, and you do this and that. It hardens when it hits oxygen and whatever." And I'm like, that's cool. But did Peter sell his ideas to the military, to damage control, to shield, or sort? Like, how is he getting the funds to do any of this stuff? Because once again, my man's out here making top tier technology in his apartment, and his landlord's not like, "Oh, hey, you're using too much electricity." There are so many times where he leaves and comes back, and the machine's been going all night. And I'm like, yo, like, people. I live in an apartment, and I know for a fact that if people are out here just using up too much energy, that's brownouts for other people and whatever. So I don't. Once again, Peter does not work because we don't see him work. If he does work, my man's just bebopping around talking to people and using all his time as Spider-Man. But then, like, for not working, I don't know how he would get his technology or afford his stuff, but he affords all of it. And I'm like, but comic books. I'd rather not have Peter Parker worry about his rent. But it just feels weird because in the comic books, they definitely would be like, "Hey, Peter Parker's broke and homeless," and I'm like, in the new movies, it's like, "Nah, he's good, man. He has other problems to deal with." I'm like, yeah, that's true. There is a party scene that comes up when Ned and MJ are having a housewarming that Peter invites himself to, which is the strangest thing. I'm like, man, do you guys have so little awareness that a stranger can just walk into your apartment and it's like, hey, housewarming time? And this is the one scene where you see MJ's boyfriend. Her new. This is the one time we see him. The part in the trailer where you see MJ kiss another dude, and Peter's like, "Oh no, she's kissing someone else." Like it's the one time. It's the one time it happens in the movie. It's the one time, and Peter gets all hurt and whatever. And it's such a strange thing because like Ned and MJ are both like, "Oh hey, you're a new person that we don't know. Thank you for bringing flowers." Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but I hate to be that dude. Who is the stranger? And why is this just an open party that anyone can walk into? Because once again, it's a housewarming, not just a party. So I think that's really, really strange too. Now, I will say, because Tom Holland is a phenomenal actor, when he sees MJ kiss that dude, his acting of like, he came in hopeful. He came in being like, oh, maybe we can talk, maybe something can happen. And then like his shoulders drop and his face changes and he just like chin to chest moves out of the room. And I'm like, that's some good acting. But yeah, man, that's some top notch stuff. I don't have it in my notes, but there is, I was talking to someone else at work and I was saying how I am not a fan of Tom Holland's I Have a Headache acting. It is terrible. And they were like, what do you mean? I'm like, my man, Tom Holland has been acting since he was a boy. I think he was in Thomas Elliot. I think he was in Oliver. My man is a star of stage and screen. When he did headache acting, if this were a video, I would probably do it myself. But I'm like, legit, he was like, in my head. And I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. But like, it doesn't seem like you have a headache. It just seems like, so it's like it's the 10 to take, and we're like, whatever, we'll get it and we'll move on because no one's going to care. It's a superhero movie. And then I was saying this as well. When he's in the mask, it becomes harder to sympathize with him because we use eyes and body language for sympathy with humans. And when he's in the Spider-Man suit, he's talking to a person, and he says, "Oh, hey, I have a headache," and our like his back is to us, and he's wearing a mask. So even with the goggles accentuating like surprise or like something like that, we don't get to see that. We just see a man kind of hunched a little bit saying, I have a headache. And I'm like, my man, I feel like there's a better way. I understand we're showing and not telling, but I feel like there's a better way to do this besides just the head. And I'm like, man, you are a multi-million-dollar actor. I need once again, I know it's a comic book film. I know it's not supposed to be super serious, but maybe a little bit better on my head hurts. Just a little bit. Like, maybe like, pretend like when you actually have a headache and then, or a migraine, and then someone's out here banging like on a bell or something and be like, okay, let's do that. Because, something like that. Because like, oh, I'm a little hunched, I'm touching my head. I'm like, I don't think that's that great. But once again, I'm not the multi-million-dollar actor. I'm not the one in the movies. So maybe I'm wrong. As a comic book fan, I think it's phenomenal to finally see Jean DeWolf in the movies. For all the people who don't know who Jean DeWolf is, Jean DeWolf I think in the 80s and 90s, was a police detective who was helping Spider-Man at the point before when police were like, oh, hey, we can't help Spider-Man. He's a vigilante, blah, blah, blah. And then Spider-Man gets in good graces again. In the Ultimate Universe, I believe Jean DeWolf starts sleeping with Kingpin after Kingpin loses his wife. And then I believe she double crosses Spider-Man at one point. But because there's a whole rigmarole in a fight, I believe Jean DeWolf dies when she's like meant to meet up with Kingpin. So Kingpin gets real mad that he lost like another lover or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. But yeah, I'm really happy to see Jean DeWolf. I think she's a phenomenal character in the comics because legit, you always need. It's like how Batman has Jim Gordon. Jean DeWolf is Spider-Man's Jim Gordon. Always goes to bat for the hero. Always is there for the hero. Even when the hero messes up, they try to be a voice of reason with the other people to be like, yeah, I don't know his face. I don't know his motivations all the time, but he's making the right decision, trying to make sure everything goes well. So I'm like, hey, man, let's get a Jim Gordon MCU. Seeing Yelena from the Thunderbolts in the Black Widow movie, I think was a good touch too, because I don't think she was underutilized. I think it would have been cool for a team up scene with Spider-Man, Punisher, and a Black Widow. But I think for one, what Florence Pugh probably had time to do, and for what the character was telling Spider-Man, because in the movie she's like, "Hey, your problems are small potatoes and mine are big potatoes, so I can't stop and help you all the time," which I still call BS on, because New York is inundated with superheroes. And MCU hasn't done West Coast Avengers where it's like, oh, some of the Avengers are going to go across the country to make sure so we can deal with superhero threats across the globe and whatever. So they haven't started doing that yet. So most of the bad stuff that happens in New York, from an alien invasion to people being turned into shadows, um, super geniuses building robots that are hell bent on destroying the Earth. Like, these things typically start in New York, and we get to watch and see them happen. Even like the first Spider-Man film, like legit, the Vulture's out here robbing Tony Stark, moving stuff. I think from Avengers Tower to the new Avengers Tower, I'm like, yeah, like this is all New York based stuff. There's plenty of things that are like that could look like small potatoes but could be big. And also, because almost every hero is stationed in New York, you can give someone like, hey Spidey, we see you're teaming up with Punisher. He's not an Avenger, and we don't trust that guy that much. Here's Bucky Barnes. Here's Red Guardian. Here's so and so. I'm like, yeah, you could do that, but we don't want we don't want to have a bunch of like Avengers 2.5, 3.5 stuff like that, where it's like, oh hey, it's just an Avengers movie, but it's put in this little package. So, but I do think Yelena was used well for information and moving plot forward. But I would have loved to see a team up with the Black Widow and Spider-Man for an action scene, especially fighting magic ninjas. I would have loved them to fight some magic ninjas together. Now, for everyone who doesn't know, once again, we're in the spoiler section. Sadie Sink, whoever this lady is, plays Jean Grey. There is lots of speculation online about it. There was lots of rigmarole. People being like, oh, she's this or that, and blah, blah, blah. And after this, I will give my rating of the movie, and then I'll go about some rumors that came up. But for me personally, Jean Grey does some unspeakable things in this movie. Now, I've talked about this as soon as I watched it with somebody, and I was like, hey, that's kind of weird, but like maybe this. So, and on the internet, and people who watched the movie with me are like, yeah, like Jean Grey definitely killed some people, right? And it's like, well, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And we're supposed to be like, well, she's doing it for her sister. She's doing it for this and that reason. So, she has the right to do these things, and so it's okay and it's all right. And my rebuttal to them was, well, when she jumps into Frank's body, it takes her like a nanosecond, and she's like, oh, this guy's really messed up. So she's getting all of Frank's memories as soon as she touches minds with him. So my assumption, I'm like, this is me doing heavy lifting for the movie. And once again, Marvel doesn't need me to do the heavy lifting. Once again, doesn't matter. But for me, my assumption is everyone that she's hurt has like either is a terrible person or have done terrible things, and she knows because she's in their mind. Like the traffic controller man, who she makes step into traffic and gets hit by a car. Somebody's like, well, she just killed a man. I'm like, you're correct. But my assumption is, since she can see in people's minds and see their memories and see what happened, that he's probably a bad person. And she's like, hey, you're a bad man, so you get hit by a car. Or there are many times where Jean falls off of something with the person and Spider-Man has to save them, or something like that. And my problem with that is Jean Grey is walking humans off off of buildings to their doom. And I'm like, yo, I understand you want to save your sister, but like this New York bystander probably isn't connected to damage control and what's happening. So maybe you don't do a giant murder to them, because that's just murder technically. In the beginning of the movie, Spider-Man, when he wasn't going through his changes, could sense Jean Grey and sense that that it wasn't the person looking at him, but Jean Grey through their eyes. Something that pulled that plot line away from me was every time Spider-Man could sense it, she would turn around and wave to him, and I'm like, no, we don't need that. I understand she's being cocky and blah blah blah, We don't need that. If Spider-Man can sense her, she should be focused on the goal, and Spider-Man should be like, oh, I can sense her. And then, when he starts going through changes and they have another thing, and then she's like, oh, you can't sense me anymore, then that's when she's like, I'm going to double down now, because now you can't even stop me. Because before you could stop me, because you could tell when I'm taking over someone's mind. But now you can't tell. So I'm just going to run about my business and do that. I don't care now. You can't do anything. So that kind of stuff, that's fine. But Jean Grey did, like, she just killed some people. And there was one time in the movie where a man was in a helicopter. Spider-Man webbed up the helicopter. He was like, hey, your jump range is 33 feet. You can't jump anywhere. Well, what are you going to do now? And then, like, he swings off and leaves her and goes to MJ. And my problem was this, and this is just truth. One, someone's like, well, how'd she get out of the helicopter? Did she, like, drop that man? Like, did she climb out of the helicopter as that man and, like, he dropped to his death? And then she, like, jumped to somebody's body before he hit the ground? And I don't believe that happened, because I think that's silly. I think the best thing to do is, hey, we all know Spider-Man's webbing dissolves in 2 hours. So there's a man who's in a helicopter. We see him webbed up. We need to go get him out. So then someone came to rescue the person hanging perilously over New York, connected to a crane. So Jean waited until they were on the ground, jumped into an EMT's body or whatever, and then went about their business. That's about it. I think that's what happened. But the best scene, for me, the best scene of the movie to me was the scene with MJ and Peter on the roof after MJ's like, where are we going, blah, blah, blah. And MJ is like, well, if I don't know you, like, maybe, like, you could tell me about you. I could see you so I could get some memory. Maybe it'll come back. And then MJ rolls his mask up halfway, which when I was in the movie theater, my brain was like, did she do this in the other movies? Like, was there a time in the third movie where she rolled his mask up halfway to kiss him, like one of the original Spider-Man? I'm like, I don't know, but let's assume it happened at least once. So then MJ kisses him, and then she's like, "Oh, Peter," and, like, hugs him real tight, and Peter starts, like, crying a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so glad you remember. I love you so much. I've missed you. Like, I've been wanting to tell you and find you," and Peter is, like, having this very, very big catharsis moment where he's holding MJ again, and he's so happy that he has her back. And then Zendaya, because she's a top tier actor, just like Tom Holland, they're just good at this stuff. And, like, you see how how her eyes change and her smile changes, and because it's Jean Grey controlling her mind. And Jean is like, hey, yeah, you should cherish this part. You should cherish holding her, because you're never gonna hold her again. It's like, and then you see Peter, like, his stance had softened, so it hardened again, and he, like, backs up, and she's like, yo, like, you're such a goof, man. Like, you think True Love's kiss is gonna bring back her memory? She would hate that story. That's not how that works. And Peter's like, this is unforgivable. And I'm like, hey, yeah, man. At the end of your last movie, Tobey Maguire looked at you and said, you gotta forgive the Green Goblin for killing your aunt. Hate to be that dude. If a lady kissing you in a woman you love's body is unforgivable, Steve Trevor must never forgive Wonder Woman for Wonder Woman 84. Like, never. And I'm like, nah, it is very mean. It's very rude. But heavens me, I think it's one of the best scenes in this movie. Genuinely. I'm like, yeah, man, like, it shows the acting range. It shows, I always love when an actor has to act like another person in a thing, because I'm like, it's just fun, and it shows their range, and it shows their capability. But also, at the end of this, to prove my point, Jean walks Zendaya off of a building. I do not know why MJ had to die. I do not know why we had to pull a Dark Knight slash Amazing Spider-Man 2, where we had to jump off a building and save Zendaya from dying. Also, side note, with the half-mast pull-up, with the jumping off of a building to save the one you love. There are lots of small homages to other Spider-Man properties. Like you can see it in the action, you can see it in the talking, you can see it in the small bits that he does, which I think is really cool because he introduced them. He was introduced to them. He talked to them, and that stuff happened. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I really like that part. Now, I feel like I've gone on a bit too long, so I'm going to try to knock out some rumors really quickly and then give my rating for the movie and, go about my day. Some rumors, and this is from a website called Tom's Guide. The writer of the article is named Alex Blackburn. The first rumor was Peter has the X gene. That was not introduced in this movie. So we know Jean does because she's a mutant, but once again, they don't use the word mutant too much. I think they use mutation for the inhibitor Peter makes, but so Peter having the X gene has not been confirmed nor denied. I think it would be a cool hitch in the giddy up if that was true, because in the comics, they asked Spider-Man in the 70s or 80s to join the X-Men, but I believe they figure out he doesn't have the X gene, so he's like, oh, you can't have you join X-Men. Yeah, we can have you join Spider-Man, you don't have the X gene. So, but yes, in this movie, no X gene is mentioned. People believe the symbiote might be a part of the movie, and maybe the symbiote would be trying to suppress the spider DNA in Peter's body and keep him safe. There is no symbiote in the movie, which, once again, we did end with having symbiote left in the world, so we could do a black suit Spider-Man thing. But also, it doesn't really seem like we need one, because there is literally a scene in the movie, which is a pretty fun scene to me, where Peter goes full spider. He breaks Scorpion's tail. He throws him into a cop car, hurts a cop, and then he's out here just wrecking Scorpion with punches and whatever. And for me, I was like, oh, okay, because he's a spider and in danger, so he's fighting. But I was like, but if he's just more angry and more violent, that's what the symbiote does. That's all. It's just symbiote. Now the symbiote might help him with mental clarity and other stuff, but the symbiote leads to heightened emotions typically. So if Peter already has something like that in him, and then he gets a symbiote, I'm like, oh, so is it like triple heightened? Is it double heightened? What happens? But yes, so no symbiote in this movie, no X gene. People believe that Bruce Banner might help in some way. The way he really helped was with giving Spider-Man the idea for the inhibitor. Then there was a rumor where Hulk might remember Peter a bit more because from the magic spell, Bruce Banner's brain might have been affected by it, but Hulk's wasn't. And I believe that's what we see in the movie. When we have the scene at the end with Savage Hulk and whatnot, or towards the end of the part where we see Spider-Man and Hulk interacting, I believe Hulk remembers who Peter is. So I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool. But yes, that rumor slightly confirmed. I don't know if anyone officially has confirmed it, but from what it looks like in the movie, it does seem like Hulk remembers who Peter is. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's a nice bit. Some people believe that this was going to be like a Groundhog Day thing, and the reason it was called Brand New Day would be like facetious or sarcastic, to where Spider-Man was going through something, and he was going through a typical day, and then something happened with maybe not Madam Web, but from Arachne or somebody else, and he kept reliving the same day over and over again when he felt to save somebody or he felt to save himself, and he had to keep trying over, and it's a quote unquote brand new day. That is not true. I think that's a very fun movie concept to be like, oh, it's a brand new day, and it's just the same day over and over again, and Spider-Man has to try to relive it and make the right choices. But that is not this movie. There's a rumor that Spider-Man might be an anchor being. That is not explored in this movie. I think it would be quite interesting, because I would love to see who the anchor being is for this universe. But in this movie, not explored. People thought that Sadie Sink might be Gwen Stacy or Firestar. People are not mentioned, they're not seen. People thought Daredevil, Green Goblin, maybe the other Spider-Man might make another cameo. That did not happen either. They thought there might be a multiversal setup towards the end of the movie, or for the mid-credit scene and the end-credit scene. Once again, spoiler section. For the end credit scene, there was no mid credit scene, which very much so surprised me. But for the end credit scene, the Spidey tracker that Ned made showed that Spider-Man was in space again, and that's it. It didn't show a planet. It just showed Spider-Man was in space again. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. So those are the rumors I looked at. That like the biggest ones people were like thought they had validity before the movie came out. No validity to most of them, except for the Banner and Hulk duality, and Sadie Sink being Jean Grey, which, yeah, I'm like, she looked like Jean Grey in the set photos, and I was like, yeah, well, who is she gonna be? For me personally, I would give Spider-Man Brand New Day 3.5 out of 4, or 3.5 or 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's a good movie. I think there are things that you could have changed in this movie to make it a bit, not punchier, but for me as a comic book fan, a bit better. Uh, One of the things I would have loved Jean Grey's parents to be in it, because I was saying something in this from 60s to early 2000s comics. Jean Grey's parents love her. So for this movie to have like Jean Grey like, oh, our mom loved us until we showed powers. Like, if you look at the comic books, Jean Grey's parents loved her, and when she had powers or showed powers, they were like, hey, you need to learn how to control these because we don't want people to take you away, because there are heroes around. There are heroes about. We don't want to lose our daughter. We love you. We want you to be here. So like, they're not mad at Charles Xavier when he comes to talk to them to be like, hey, I want to train Jean so she can use her power effectively. But they are very sad, and they're like, no, we don't want to lose our baby girl. Like, we understand she needs training. We understand she needs help, but we don't want to lose our child. And I think that would have been a very interesting hitch in the giddy-up, or very a kink in the armor, where it was like, instead of her family giving her up, the guy from Damage Control, my brain says his name is Mesker. And I keep forgetting that man's name because and for me, he is not interesting in this movie. He is a, he is a by the numbers villain. And I think it would be very interesting if Jean Grey was a fan of Spider-Man before being snapped. Then when he came back and they found out Peter Parker, she was a fan of him. So then the inhibitor being put on her and Spider-Man fighting against her would feel like a bigger betrayal. But then also, I like the idea that because she's a fan of Spider-Man and Peter Parker, that Damage Control came and talked to her parents. And her parents were like, oh no, we don't want to give our daughters away. We don't want to do that. We want we want our kids around. We want them to be here. And because we want them to be here, like, we understand you're correct. They are children and they have an amazing burden, but we don't want to send our kids away. Maybe when they get older, maybe like all that stuff. So then Damage Control like stages their death and takes the girls away. All the parents' attempts to find their kids are kiboshed by Damage Control. And then I was telling someone, like, instead of Sarah passing away, I would love if she was like mentally broken from the treatment or whatever. Like, let's say the treatment did enhance Jean's powers and help them do X, Y, and Z, but then Sarah got broken from it. And at the end of the movie, just like the ending of X2, where 3, where Magneto lost his powers and at the end he's shaking the chess piece. I would have loved if like Jean Grey, she's still mad, she's still searching for her sister, she's doing all this, but like, she's not just mad because she's looking for her sister. She's looking for her sister. She found out her parents were still alive. She found out Damage Control lied, manipulated. And then, after doing all that, like, at the end of the movie, they're back home together. Their family is happy to see them. They're a happy family again, but Sarah, isn't the same mentally. So at the end, like, Jean hears Sarah whisper to her, and once again, ever since she's been saved, she hasn't talked. So Jean turns around and she thinks it's Sarah talking normally, but it's her talking telepathically. And that's the way, like, the movie ends with, like, happy family. Because I think the movie ends, it ends with Peter dapping up Ned. But, like the scenes with Jean end with her, like, driving to Westchester or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I would love it if it ended like that, where her sister, once again, her sister doesn't have to be a hero, but her sister being alive, but like not being as strong a tell, because like in the movie, her sister taught her like how to use her powers. So if then in the movie now Jean's like helping her and all that stuff, I'm like, oh, it's a reversal of the stuff. And then also because Jean is a fan of Spider-Man and Peter Parker, Jean's like, oh yeah, like this is my responsibility. I have this power. It's my responsibility to not only help people make things better. So thank you for listening to Jumping the Wagon. Hopefully there are many more of these to come. I believe I said this in the beginning, but yeah, follow us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and Patreon at Missing the Wagon. And I hope you have a good day.